Hi, this is Steve, and I have with me Deep Chinappa. And I'm excited to have you here today. You have had an amazing musical journey, originally starting with your Indian heritage, but then you've gone into Western pop, rock, metal, alternative, soul, R&B, jazz, Latin funk, and Afro beat, and it spans from the 60s to 80s. What caused you to try all these genres?
Um, Steve, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be a part of this, and I think for me. It's been a musical journey, just because there is so much I've been interested in all kinds of music, and the journey has been beautiful because first of all, I'm very open to all genres. For me, music is music, and I feel like it's a place where I just want to explore my voice and explore music to the point where I'm able to write great songs and be able to create something where everybody can think about the journey and say, oh, yeah, this guy has, yeah, from the 60s to the 90s or to the present, but he's open minded and not really being in a box. I'm always thinking outside the box. And that's who I am as a musician.
That makes you a great independent artist. What first inspired you to explore the world of music?
I think at a very young age when I was growing up in India, my dad actually worked for a British tea company. And when my the boss of my dad had a record player he gave to my dad, and all these records he got, uh, the Beatles, Adventures, Nat King Cole. He had a whole collection of records, and I was like, I this is what really I think was instrumental of me being a musician. And then later on, somebody else who was my dad's colleague introduced me to a lot of British rock, mostly Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Rainbow, Deep Purple, and I was smitten by that. And back then, we are talking about the days when we had cassettes, and I would listen to these cassettes and mimic all these singers. And I was a self-taught musician, and I guess I was bitten by the bug, and I just wanted to be a singer. I don't even know why I wanted to be a singer, but I felt like this was my journey and this is what I wanted to do.
What were your favorite songs to sing off the cassette?
I would say I really liked Deep Purple a lot when I was growing up. And one of my favorite songs was Highway Star. And I loved the scream, which Ian Gillan did. And I could do the scream verbatim, which is crazy, but I could do it. And I could sing the
Cool.
song really well. And Smoke on the Water too, which is a big anthem, obviously.
Absolutely. What role do your South Asian roots play in shaping the sound of the theme of your current music?
I would say I've lived in the US for the last 30 plus years. And I would say living in the US, and I'm really into a lot of alternative rock as well. The 90s grunge scene has been a big part of my musicality. And I love progressive rock as well. Combining both grunge and alternative rock with progressive rock has, I think, in some ways, has blended a combination of progressive, classic, and alternative rock, and to find myself in terms of being able to blend original music. I feel like I have all this combination, but I also, at the same time, I love soul and jazz and everything. So I'm always thinking outside the box and combining genres. I think it's a really challenging thing to do, but I don't think too much about it. I just want to do it because I love all kinds of music and I want to try to combine all together and be able to create a song.
How big is your catalog?
I've been making music pretty much since 2000. 2000. I have a lot of records between solo records. I have done band records and things like that. And also I'm actually going to go back earlier because in the 90s I was in a goth metal band in the Boston area. And one of the highlights I want to talk about is I was in this goth metal band called Sift, and I played CBGBs twice in the late '90s. So I gotta
Oh,
say
cool.
that was a cool spot to be played in, and I played there. And I was just a singer frontman of this rock band out of Boston, and then I taught myself to play guitar because I wanted to be be a composer, songwriter, singer, and guitar player, and I taught myself to do it. And since 2000, I would say I've been for the last 20 plus years. I've written close to 150 songs and creating this alternative genre music, rock,
So
pop,
for
punk, reggae.
so for the young people out there that don't know that club, it really became famous from the Ramones. So the t-shirts that you're wearing, that is where it came from. The punk rock scene started out there. How do you approach collaborations with other artists, and what do you look for in creative partners?
I think the offshoot in the last year actually, I've been trying to my offshoot has been I'm doing EDM, which is interesting. The guy who does EDM is a multi instrumentalist who plays all the instruments. He does EDM, heavy metal. He's a multi instrumentalist who does all kinds of music. But right now, my collaboration with him has been EDM and heavy metal. So we just put out an EP, which he obviously produced, but I sang two of the songs on this EP where I wrote the songs and came up with the melody lines. And the EDM project we have together is called Three Faces, where we are pretty much putting out a song or two on a monthly basis, which I'm excited about because I like cross genres. I want to challenge myself, explore pop music because I think pop music is the most difficult thing to do, but at the same time, the most fun thing to do because people love pop music because it's easy to relate to.
Exactly. Can you walk me through your creative process from your writing? How do you get in the mood into the studio? You create the rhythms, the melody. What happens first?
So typically, when I write a song, most songs I either write on acoustic guitar or electric guitar, depending. So the last EP I just put out, it was like during the pandemic, I wrote these songs, and after the pandemic, I went to the studio. I basically had a studio bass player, drummer. I sent them my songs. We got into the studio, and I play mostly rhythm guitar, sing, and composite. These are compositions of mine, where I write the songs. I have the entire arrangements, and then I go into the studio, and then we just go through the songs. And I think we spent half a day. I would say about 3 or 4 hours, and we basically created these four songs and basically ended up being the EP. The lead guitar player of my band, who has been a part of my life for a really long time and is a huge collaborator, his name is Paul Ehrlich, and he wasn't a part of this, but he was excited when he heard this project, and he's, wow, you did this without me. And I was like, this was, after the pandemic, and I just, we were all cooped up for so many we were cooped up during the pandemic, and I had to get this energy out, and that was the outcome of the EP, which I just put out in.
Fabulous. What is some of your favorite pieces of music or albums that influenced you over the years?
I would say a lot of the alternative rock in the 90s were a big influence in my life, but earlier influences would be I listened to a lot of Miles Davis, Coltrane. I love jazz. I wish I could be a jazz musician. I love jazz. I was a huge Coltrane, Miles Davis. I'm a huge John McLaughlin fan. I love that fusion part. I also listen to a lot of Latin music. I like everything because I feel like I love Latin music. I like a lot of Afro pop. So I'm open to every kind of music which is out there because I just feel like it's important as a musician to just think about how music is from all parts of the world. And I love a lot of Indian music because there's beautiful Indian classical music which comes from India. It's just phenomenal because these some of these musicians are really amazing, and it's something which I grew up with. But when I start creating my own music, I wanted to keep it more so authentic to the Western audience, more so to the Indian audience, because I feel like I want it to be global to the point where people can hear the influences, but it's everything I do is subtle. Or
Okay, makes sense.
right.
You performed at major festivals and events. What has been the most memorable performance and why?
I would say the South by Southwest in Austin, Texas was the most memorable in 2018 because it was just being in a world festival where you're playing with musicians from all over the world, and to be just a part of this festival was fantastic because it just gave you the opportunity to bring your music to people from all over the world, because obviously it's a huge festival and people are excited about bands from not just the US but all over the world.
Fabulous. So, what do you currently have out, and what can we expect in the next couple of months?
I would say at this point we are still working on our EP. And Steve, I just wanted to share this with you. I was featured in the New Yorker. I had an ad on August in the issue on the August 26th. There was an ad about deep sea divers, and also I was also interviewed on Entertainment USA. So it's exciting for me because I feel like the name is out there. People are excited about the new song I have out from my EP. Specifically, we're working on the song which is out there, which has a lyrical video. It's called "Still Here," and the song "Still Here" is interesting because it has some influences of southern rock, but it's a standalone song because it's a it reminds you a little bit. It has a little bit classic rock feel to it, but it also has an alternative feel. But it's a very strong melody, and the message is very cool because I just feel like I'm still here and I'm always going to be here for now.
Where can people find you on social media?
Social media would be www.deeplettercdivers.com. And if you go to the website, you'll find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads, and every other social media which is out there.
Fantastic. I really appreciate you being here, and best of luck with the rest of the year with your music.
Thank you, Steve. It's an honor to be here, and you have a good one. Thanks for this interview. I appreciate
Yep.
it. Okay.